Creative work can be pretty challenging for people to make it through, and I certainly had my own challenges with it. I've studied music at the conservatory, I majored in songwriting, and I would teach music theory at the same conservatory that I studied at. And this actually brings me to one big problem with creative work. It's the difference between art and craft. And as a music theory professor, I'm very much on the craft side of things. You have to get your craft in order because you need to learn how to, play chords and do all sorts of things, like the specific abilities that you're training when you're trying to make something creative. That's the craft side of things. And generally, that's not even the biggest problem for people. The biggest problem tends to be the art side of things. Now, in order to create art, you actually need to be authentic. And you need to tap into this childlike aspect of your own being. So you can't tell yourself you ought to do something. You can't just rationally determine you need to play a certain chord or something. At least not from strictly your rational side. It has to come from a place of exploration and from feeling. And so how do we get there? How do we do that? So I want to tell you a story about when I majored in songwriting and I was struggling with writer's block. I had a songwriting professor who I really loved. It was my favorite professor I've had for those years in songwriting. He told me to stop worrying about the end product of what I'm making and instead worry about the process. So he told me, look at your schedule for this week, look at how much time you've got to spend on songwriting, and then determine how much time you can actually realistically spend without it being excessive. And we ended up agreeing that I could have 3 blocks of 1 hour, and that's all I could do. So he told me, okay, you're gonna write a song in that time. You're gonna start from scratch. You're gonna have to come up with the lyrics, with the chords, with the melody. You have to sing it, you have to record it, and you have to produce the demo. Everything in those 3 hours. I hated it, because there's no way I could do something good in that time, but that was the whole point. So after this week I got back to him and I showed him my song. I let him listen to it and I was deeply ashamed of what I had created. And he said, good job. What do you mean good job? That's not a good job at all. It was basically telling me good job for actually making the song. And all he did was let me determine my own 2 points of feedback that I can take into the next song. And then next week I'll do the same thing, but now I'll apply this feedback. And that's all I need to do. I don't need to write a good song, just write again and try and do it a bit better than last time. Well, this worked wonders for me. It was really useful. I think it took about 5 or 6 weeks until I wrote the best song, in my own opinion, that I had written up until that point. So I'd say that was a pretty darn useful way to go about it. And what it actually did for me is it let me tap into this childlike playfulness, because suddenly the end result didn't matter anymore. You couldn't be worrying about the end result if you need to write a bad song each week. All you need to do is just write a song. Any song, no matter how bad. So that let me let go of the actual quality of what I'm writing, but at the same time I tried to do it a little bit better each time, and so I was improving and I was growing, and this is actually really engaging to be doing. If you notice that you're actually improving and each week you're doing something better than last week, well, it certainly was really engaging to me. So this is how I at least overcame writer's block and got back to creating songs, writing songs. And it actually taps into my YouTube journey as well. This is what I was doing when I was creating these music theory videos that I made back at the start of my channel. I just tried to make a video, any video. And then next week I tried to make a better one. And then the week after I tried to make a better one. And each time I wasn't aiming for a perfect video. I was aiming for something that was just, at least in one way, a little bit better than the last one. And I think after 12 weeks I at least learned quite a lot about editing, about speaking in front of a camera, about all sorts of things. So if you're wondering why you aren't creating things and other people are, well, maybe you're too worried about doing something good. And instead you should be worried about doing something. Just something. Okay, I hope you helped you guys. See you next video. Oh, and if you like this content, maybe subscribe, because you'll get more of it.